Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is the quarter century episode, episode 25, Another Horse Punch. Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm joined, as always, by Sam and Eddie. And I think we should start with Eddie, who apparently has a story about someone trying to do an imitation of my podcast nature, eh?
Yeah, Vasilis, who obviously
big time listener,
talked about his namaste. Now, here's a surprising thing, right? From a guy who's trying to embrace his mental health and a relaxed approach to lifestyle, kind of went after you with his impression. I'll try and do the best possible version of his impression. But here, the unfortunate thing is, I'm not going to do it total justice, but it sounded a little bit like this. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank. I'm here with, once again, this is going to be a great podcast. I'm here with my friends, Eddie and Sam. Sam, how's it going?
He sounds like a cross between Donald Trump and Barney the dinosaur.
Now, if you could just add a Greek accent into the mix on the impression. He basically made it sound, Frank, as if you were like a Greek man who'd been in a very, very serious road accident fairly recently and was like recovering the ability to speak and had like started a podcast to sort of maybe record yourself so you could see if your speech was improving over time. And that's basically how Vasilis thinks you sound.
My speech therapist thought it would be a really good practice for me to get on a podcast so I can speak more and more to develop my language back to what it once was.
Yeah. So those are the shots that Vasilis fired at you.
Wow.
Why did he fire them? Like, what was the reason?
Yeah, I thought Vasilis was my friend.
Yeah. Why has he come after him?
Well, wait, what's the expression? Isn't, imitation the highest form of flattery? Isn't that? He's just obviously enamored with your podcast style.
And to think, I spoke so highly of him in the last few episodes, knowing all the stories I know about Vasilis and choosing not to say any of them.
I mean, you're more than welcome to return fire if you want. This could be your moment, or you could be the better man.
The great thing about Vasilis, I don't think you have to return fire. I think Vas, over the course of time, will just take shots on himself. So I just think, like, sit back, be patient, and he'll do enough damage to himself over time.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to start with a week of very terrible bets, at least on my end. I know Eddie didn't do so well either. Sam, I'm not sure how invested you were in the NFL this week, but it was not a good week for the NFL. It was the best Sunday, though, for sportsbooks, apparently. Several sportsbooks came out saying that this was their biggest winning week so far this year, except, pretty interestingly, DraftKings got caught pretty bad with two big bets. And I just saw this. I thought it was pretty interesting. There was a $2 million two-leg parlay on the Lions and the Dolphins both to win. So that was $2 million to win 2.1. So that was a pretty big hit. And then there was another one for $100,000 on the Ravens, Dolphins money line, and then Steelers -3, and that paid out about almost 4-1. So besides those two, I think the bookies made a killing considering the Patriots lost. That was, I think, a big loss, and a lot of the bigger teams that should have covered didn't, like the Ravens. The Colts didn't cover. There was a few big ones that didn't cover. So we'll get into, I guess, our outcomes on Thursday, but I know for a fact I did not do good this week in my picks.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, even for most people, right? Yeah, a lot of big teams didn't cover, so even if you'd managed to avoid the Patriots, but I think the Patriots would have been like a pretty central figure in most people's like money line parlays or teases, anything like that. And like you did well to avoid the Patriots in any of your bets. So just that alone.
I appreciate that because I avoided the Patriots in every one of my bets and still lost every one of my bets. So it didn't help that much.
That takes talent. It's also worth saying, even from a European perspective, right? this was a pretty nice week, probably for the bookies as well. You had two, we previewed the Champions Day at Ascot. You had the two odds-on favorites both lose. You had Real Madrid and Barcelona both lose. You had Liverpool not win at Everton. Admittedly, they weren't sort of super heavy favorites, but still. So overall, I think as a bookie, probably hard not to have had a profitable weekend, no matter where you were.
Yeah, actually, now that you bring up the Ascot Champions weekend, at least I did tip a good 9-1 winner there on our podcast. So that was encouraging with Adea winning the Champions Stakes. So
if only you'd listen to your own tips, I guess.
Yeah, because you know what? I didn't bet it. Unfortunately, I did the right thing though, because I had said on the podcast that I used to go the route of betting the favorites like we usually do in those types of festivals, but because it's the end of the year, the favorites aren't as consistent. So I stayed away from betting the favorites. I listened to myself and did an each way bet with some of the lesser favorites, either second, third, fourth favorites. And out of the 6, I think I hit 5 out of the 6. So that kind of sucks. That would have been a nice each way.
Yeah, you did. I mean, I guess it's unusual for us to go horse racing first. But I did think the interesting thing is that John Gosden has kind of taken on the horse racing authority in that he thinks fundamentally the course was not up to scratch for that quality of racing. He attributes Stradivarius's defeat purely basically to the ground and the fact that it lost a shoe mid-race, and then also Dettori thinks that Palace Pier or whatever also lost a shoe mid-race.
Wait, he thinks he lost a shoe mid-race?
You've got to know if he has or not.
Either he lost a shoe or he didn't.
It was kind of unclear from his interview whether or not he was certain. I think there was a possibility that it may have lost a shoe pre-race and that they weren't aware. But it had been inspected by the vets because I think it was bleeding from the nose pre-race, and they gave it the all clear to race. But yeah,
they gave it the cocaine treatment.
The Murphy treatment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was intended for Dettori, but the horse sniffed it up first. But yeah, I think Gosden is clearly just not happy about it. And I think overall, in a sense, he was kind of saying that the quality of ground for that weekend consistently just isn't up to scratch and that they probably need to do something about it. But he was disappointed that they ran on the course that they did and that they didn't run on the inner course at Ascot, where he thinks the ground would have been better.
Wait, the ground was rated soft, wasn't it, for the day?
Soft, no, heavy.
I
saw soft as well.
I
didn't watch though, so I don't know.
Yeah, that was my point, is whether he was thinking that he's annoyed at the rating of the ground, or is he annoyed just that the ground period was bad, if that makes sense?
No, I think he was disappointed just in the quality, just the overall quality of the ground. But yeah. Now, here's the thing. There were some decent horses that performed extremely well. So there might be some other trainers who were perfectly happy with the conditions. But I will say in his defense, right, Gosden's not the kind of person normally to come out with those kind of comments. So he obviously was very disappointed with it in order to even be publicly saying that.
Well, that was just a shitty start to my weekend of betting, I guess, because that was the early Saturday. And I mean, the only upside, I guess, for that was I didn't actually sit and waste my time watching the races. I was out on my Saturday hike, so I kind of just got the updates as they went. And the really shitty part is I said to avoid all the favorites, and the one race I lost on was the one race I took the favorite to win. So had I just fully listened to myself, I probably could have cashed a nice each way. You know, it sucks, but whatever. It is what it is.
Also worth saying, right? You're saying you lost this weekend, but out of the three of us, you're the only one whose bet of the week actually won.
Yeah.
Because you had Zaha anytime goal scorer, and admittedly, it was a penalty, so maybe not the most glamorous way to win, but still, he scored early on too, so you didn't even have to sweat that one out. I think that was the 14th minute or something.
Yeah. Did I bet that though?
Maybe you don't want to be saying you're not betting your bets of the week.
No, yeah. I did. Actually, I did even a little better. I did Zaha anytime, parlayed with Son anytime, and Vardy anytime. and Vardy ended up not playing, so that got voided, and Son scored, so I won that bet. That was my only win of the weekend.
Oh,
not a bad win though. It was like 5-2, and I think like 2-1.
So you didn't match your 10K stake like you did in the.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I put 10K
I
on.
matched my 10K stake.
Oh, it's going to be a tough couple of weeks.
I put my 10K on my bet of the week and proceeded to watch 2 of the 5 in the accumulator lose.
And he put 10K and then 2K of mine.
The only
Took
good
my
news
winnings.
about it was that I did at least. The only good news was I at least did win a burger and a pint out of the weekend. And maybe that's our opportunity to get our football reaction coming up and return to our status as a Niners podcast. How good do the Niners look? Jimmy G back to his beautiful best.
Wait, I'm confused. I thought you were giving me 10 points and I was taking the Rams.
You gave me 7 points, or 7.5, I should say. So that one was.
Oh, I thought you were giving me 7.5. I had that completely reversed.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so do we want to start off with that game?
Niners look good.
I mean, unfortunately, you said that we're done talking
about
about the Niners. So you said that they're done and we're done talking about them.
You know, I mean, I think they still are done. I was impressed. The thing I liked the only thing I'll say about them, defensively, they looked pretty good. That was refreshing to see. Also, they had all of their you felt like you had the full arsenal of men like moving in motion, and like Deebo Samuel, it's like picking the ball up to like in motion as a running back, Kittle in motion constantly. That's when the Niners look really dangerous. And a couple times this season, they've kind of felt like they've abandoned that a little bit. And to me, that's the only thing that separates them from a lot of the other teams. So it was good to see that back. My bigger takeaway in this, not even really to talk about the Niners, but I was pretty high on the Rams early on in this season. And they just seem like early on this year, I thought they were back to the Rams of 2 years ago. And now it just looks like they're back to the Rams of a year ago.
I think it all rides on Goff. The Niners defense looked good, but Goff also looked bad. I mean, he was missing open targets.
Yeah.
He was really like timid in the pocket, like he wasn't stepping up in the pockets and things like that. He looked like Goff of last year, not Goff of the 2 years ago MVP caliber. He did not look good at all. And I think if the Rams are to be good, he has to be good.
Yeah, probably. I think Goff is kind of showing what he is, which is an okay quarterback who sometimes will be great and sometimes will be awful. And that's going to hold the Rams from ever being sort of great with him under center. Like, to me, that's the status they have now. I couldn't trust them. To me, they're firmly out of ever. The Rams fall into that zone now for me where I'm kind of scared ever to bet against them because I know how good they potentially could be. But I would feel very uncomfortable ever betting on them.
And what do you think of Jimmy G? I think he's starting to become the next coming of Alex Smith. Coming full circle in San Fran.
That's probably a fair assessment. Like, I think he's the kind of quarterback who, best case scenario, he's not the one who wins you the Super Bowl, but he doesn't lose it. And in a way, that's what last year was, right? And the moment they needed him to win the Super Bowl on that deep throw to Emmanuel Sanders, he couldn't do it. So in a way, that's probably fair. Now, you could argue that the Niners have built a team where they have so many weapons around him and offensively and defensively in key positions, where maybe that's all you need. The question would be that they're paying him quite a lot of money to be maybe the 15th best quarterback in the league. So I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about him as to whether or not you do look for a replacement either through the draft at some point or if a decent free agent became available. But
yeah, just so I'm not like pulling this out of my ass. He was passes over 10 yards. He only attempted 8 out of his 33, and he only completed 4 out of the 8. So, 80% of his passes were all under 10 yards, which, I mean, hey, if that's the offense you are, that's the offense you are. It's kind of the opposite of the Seahawks and Russell Wilson, who just likes to go deep every other play. But, I mean, the 44-yard touchdown pass to Kittle, that was a 5-yard slant, and he just took it to the house. So, I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I think you have to look beyond those stats. They're not an offense built on actual deep throws. They don't have receivers that kind of suit that. So in that respect, I'm not going to kill him for that. One thing I will say is maybe the Niners, with a little bit of scouting, may have identified the replacement for Kittle, for Kittle and Jimmy G this weekend, which is Julian Edelman, who completed 2 passes this weekend. And I think now his career passes, I think he's 7 for 8 career passing attempts.
Well, he used to be a QB, right?
Yeah, he was at Kent State. He was a QB, yeah. So he's either 7 for 8 or 8 for 9. I can't remember what it is. But maybe that's our way to kind of shift on to the Pats game, the true disappointments of this weekend, who looked awful. I mean, they were the killer for me. I think the killer for a lot of people. The thing I'll say is they nearly dug themselves out of the hole in the sense that they had the ball with the ability to win it on a final drive. They absolutely did not deserve to be in that position. The Broncos well and truly outplayed them over the course of that game, and the Broncos beating them was totally, totally justified.
Yeah, the Broncos outplayed them, but God, Drew Lock is terrible. If he was a somewhat decent QB, the Broncos could have won that by 20 points. I mean, the fact that the Pats were in the game was because as good as the Broncos were playing, Drew Lock was playing that poorly that he was like pulling the team down. I mean, if you're a Broncos player, that's one of those games where you have to be so frustrated where it's like, listen, we're putting together a great game here. We're going to beat the freaking New England Patriots. Can you get your head out of your ass and start playing a goddamn good game?
Yeah.
Like even when last year when they went 4-1, he sucked when they went 4-1 last year. He's terrible.
Yeah, it does say a lot about it when the Broncos didn't get in the end zone once. And if it wasn't for McManus's boot, they were scoring nothing against an awful Patriots performance. Like fundamentally, they could have.
The Patriots D is their strength, right? The Patriots D. Here's what I'll say: is you can look at it. You can look at it as Locke was the reason. Like they should have won more easily. I'd flip it. How do you feel walking off that field if you're Cam Newton? And literally, you're saying I wasn't the best quarterback on the Patriots this weekend. Like legitimately, Edelman walks off there going like I texted you because I was obviously watching this game throughout, and I texted Frank when they had to pull out the first trick play on the attempt at like the game-winning drive, where they had the like kind of flea flicker to Edelman and completed for the first pass. And I said to Frank, not a good sign when you're having to pull out a trick play on like the game-winning drive. Not a good sign. The fact that they then had to go back into their barrel of tricks and pull out a second game-winning like a trick play, like 5 plays later on that drive, shows 100% what they felt about Cam Newton that day. That was clear that they were basically saying like Cam Newton is not going to win us this game. And like you can say everything you want about Locke, but at least Locke was coming up against arguably one of the best defenses in the league. And I know the Broncos defense is not awful, and they got some players back this weekend. And okay, Cam Newton's also coming back from having had COVID, and maybe that's part of the analysis, right? Maybe the knock-on effect of maybe we rule out, if I say that I'm going to stay away from the Rams, maybe I stay away from any teams with a quarterback who recently had a very serious illness. Maybe that's a new rule I apply to myself.
Yeah,
I mean, that should be quite a fair one when you just do that anyway.
Well, no, you could. I let Newton off the hook this game for the fact that he was out a decent amount of time from the COVID, even if it didn't affect him physically, just the pure fact that he's out of practice for what? It had to be almost a week, right? He has to sit out.
Hold on, Frank. A few days ago, we talked with each other, and we said, everyone said the Titans are going to suffer because they were out of practice with each other. And then we said, look how fresh and relaxed they look. So I'm willing to take the fact that even if he just had fundamentally like a mild case of the flu, then that's not ideal preparation. Your body doesn't feel great. He might still not feel good going into the Sunday. That's fine. But if the excuse is, sorry, we were just rusty, it's like, tell that to the Titans. They didn't look rusty.
Yeah, but again, the Titans, though, I mean, Cam Newton is coming into New England. This is his first year in New England in the system with a no preseason. So you got to remember, he's only 5 weeks on a brand new team, 5 weeks in, and now he's got to sit out a full week, not being prepared, that's into the system as well. So that's one thing. But here's the other thing is that supposedly they were pretty decimated in their practice squad and like a lot of the other starters and backups. So it's pretty hard to then come back to practice and not even probably have full, good, consistent, like meaningful practices. It just sounded like it was a clusterfuck in New England this whole week. So
that's fine. However, he was missing wide open receivers by a couple yards. And
so was Garoppolo the week before when he was injured, and then now this week he looked great. So I mean, you have to give him a week.
He looked great now. Hold on, can we cut that one too, Sam? Jimmy G looked great. Second ago,
stats wise, he looked great. He hit every target almost.
Stats wise,
he was like 27 for 33.
You were killing him a second ago for passes over 10 yards.
No, I said he's a game manager. I didn't say he played bad as a game manager. I just said he didn't go deep.
Game manager. Okay.
He had a good game. I mean, he was hitting everybody.
I'll tell you this. An injured Jimmy G would have beaten the Broncos this weekend.
But an injured Jimmy G couldn't win the game before?
Exactly.
Okay. I think it's too early to write off the Patriots is what I'm saying. I think you have to see next week. If they come back next week and play a lot better, then I'm still on board that they can make the playoffs.
I mean, this is their first losing start through week 5 since 2001, like 19 years. So it's definitely uncharted territory for them.
No, look, I'm not ruling them out. There's every chance they make the playoffs, and the Patriots in the playoffs are a dangerous animal, right? Like Bill Belichick in the playoffs. I'm not going to say, look, I'd be stunned if the Patriots made the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl. Fundamentally, I'd be stunned, barring like any major transactions happening between now and the end of the season. That being said, yeah, I still kind of expect them to make the playoffs, although it's kind of easy to forget they do have a losing record now, and there are quite a few teams with winning records in the AFC. Like, even with the expanded playoff system, they need to go on a kind of decent run. Like, I mean, they're not even second in their division right now. So,
yeah,
there's some issues there. They're going to have to play well in their division, and they're going to have to play well out of their division too. So, but I'm not dismissing them. I'm just saying that was really bad. And if you're more than killing Locke for kind of allowing the Patriots to stay in that game by him not finishing drives, I would be more critical of the fact that if you're the Patriots D and you walked into that locker room and you would say like, are you kidding me, guys? Like, sometimes you were turning the ball over and giving them a short field. We held them to 3 points time and time again, and you guys just couldn't get 3 touchdowns to win this game. You're like, really? Against the Broncos?
Speaking of the AFC East, did you see the Jets quarterback this weekend? Trevor Lawrence tore it up in the first half. 400 yards, 5 TDs, crushed it. Look out next season, because when the Jets go 0-16, man, he is going to make an instant impact on that team.
I mean, he won't.
No, he won't. Not until they get an actual team around him.
Yeah, he won't. But yeah, it will be interesting to see, like, players pulling him down by his long flowing locks. That will be good to see in the NFL.
One of the funny things I saw in like one of the New York papers is that in Vegas, as of last night, after that Jets massacre by the Dolphins, there were still people putting money on the Jets to win the Super Bowl this year.
Here, I'll give you a question then. Let's use this as an example. Which do you think is more likely? Jets go 0-16 or the Packers 12-4?
That is a tough one.
Wasn't our over-under last podcast on them about 3? Didn't we do 2.5?
Yeah, we basically agreed 2 to 4 losses for the season was the likely. Now, here's the thing: is we did all pick them. I mean, this is our way to move on. We did all pick the Packers to win this weekend against Tampa Bay.
I mean, that was insane, right? 38 unanswered points. Well, it's like Rodgers had a melt. Like something happened in Rodgers' head. And
well, I mean, I actually think that's the crazy thing is they looked so in control early on, like 10 up, driving, ball back. At that point, it was like, oh, okay, this is going to be a fairly straightforward Packers win. Even early on in the game, it was just like, okay, looks like business as usual as far as kind of the Packers are concerned so far this season. I will say we did all kind of talk about the fact that this had the potential for the Packers returning to earth game, and they well and truly return to earth, Challenger style. They
Oh God.
It was not pretty. I mean, also we're saying, the crazy stat out of that, which Sam and I have already discussed earlier today, that was Rodgers' third pick 6 of his career. That is an absolutely incredible stat.
2 against Tampa, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's even more incredible when you consider Tom Brady was on a streak starting this year of, 4 straight weeks or 3 straight weeks with a pick 6?
It's an unbelievable stat. And the fact, as Sam mentioned, the fact that 2 of them have been against Tampa Bay, also crazy.
And he almost had a second one in this game. They took it out to the 2-yard line, right? The next drive.
Yeah, and he hadn't thrown a pick all season, and then he had those. It's like back-to-back drives.
Yeah, first pick and then second one next possession. I mean, whatever happened, that got in his head because by the end of it, you were honestly looking at benching him at one point. By the end of the third, it was crazy. They were doing absolutely nothing.
I probably would have benched him just because obviously you have just drafted a quarterback in the first round, and I would have just seen that as an opportunity to give him a quarter.
He's out
in a game.
He's out. Love.
Oh, was he out?
He's been out all season.
Out?
Yeah, he hasn't been. He hasn't suited up all season.
Then. Well, then take that back then. Although I still maybe would have thrown him out there. He probably would have been better than Rodgers even if he can't walk.
I don't know though, because even at I guess maybe when it got to the 38-10, because even if you think at 28-10, it was still at halftime with Rodgers. 18 points is not that crazy of a comeback, But at the 38-10 at the end of the third, then you're looking at 4 scores there.
28-10 is like if we score the next points, if the next scoring play is a touchdown for us, it's game on. But as soon as the next scoring play isn't a touchdown for you, it's like bench the starters. No point in this one.
Flipping it the other way though, Brady and Gronk rolling back the good old days. I mean, Brady looking fine, 43 years old. That arm's looking good. Gronk looks
he's looking fine.
Yeah, Gronk looks okay. Not
Brady
mobile,
remembered.
But
Brady remembered where he was. That helped.
Gronk did not.
Yeah, that helped too. But that was interesting. And I mean, it set up right. Here's the interesting thing: if the Bucs are good this year, we'll probably touch on one of these topics a little bit later. But Sam will be pleased to find out that his pick of the Tampa Bay Rays to make the World Series came true. They are in the World Series. Obviously, you had Tampa Bay winning the Stanley Cup. What a year for Tampa Bay this could be.
Yeah. Big sports city. Potential.
Could suddenly be Titletown, USA. Who saw that one coming?
The thing I will say that was interesting about that game.
You could even try and spin the Miami Heat making the NBA Finals if nothing else, what a year for Florida. You could even go for that general approach.
Yeah. What a year for Florida. They're dying left and right from COVID, but hey, at least their teams are winning. At least they got fans in the stands.
Well, that would be the good thing, right? When all those Floridians die, they'll be able to know, hey, there's a chance that 20, 30 years from now, people won't remember 2020 in Florida for the pandemic. Instead, they'll remember it for an amazing sporting year for the state of Florida.
Crazy to think, though, Rodgers and Brady didn't even top 200 yards. I think that's I don't know many people who would have predicted that. Under 200 on both of them. You know, you think maybe if one does bad, then the other does good.
I do think that's worth, people have kind of, I've seen some of the responses to the game yesterday, today. Some people have just been like super complimentary about Brady. And look, he didn't put a foot wrong in many respects. But I think people have gone a little bit overboard. It was like he fundamentally got put in a position there where he just didn't need to forget what down it was. And they
I mean, he was up 14-10 without doing a single thing except hand the ball off.
Yeah. No, so I mean, that would be the one thing. And look, that's the nature of it, right? If they'd lost and he had that stat line, people would be killing him for it. And we kind of talked about that on other episodes. Like, if you win, everyone sees your performance as being so much better. Or even if you have a great performance in a defeat, people kind of focus in on maybe the one turnover or the one play you missed. And Tom Brady's in the kind of lucky position where people will just say like, oh yeah, well, he beat Rodgers.
So last week, Eddie said that Mahomes had lost his MVP race. It can be argued that same week, Josh Allen lost it. And now this week, maybe Rodgers is losing some footing. And that is opening up the door to the undefeated Tennessee Titans, Eddie. Are you a believer yet? Because they have 2 MVP candidates on that team. Are you a believer?
Well, it depends what you're asking me, am I a believer in? Because I think throughout the season, we've kind of all said that we don't think the Titans had enough respect at different times. Like, we kind of consistently picked the Titans to win the game. I think the only time I picked against the Titans was that Bills game. And obviously got that
I'll rephrase it. Wrong. I'll rephrase it. Can the Titans win the Super Bowl?
Yes. Conceivably, yes. I'm not saying I would bet on it, but yes.
Are they in the top 3 teams to win the Super Bowl in your top way. 5?
No.
Wow. This is the team that made it to the AFC Championship last year, and now this year are undefeated, and you think they're not in the top 5?
No.
Disrespect across the board.
I don't think that's disrespect. I'm saying
I think that's absolutely disrespect.
I think there's like 8 teams at the moment that have legitimate Super Bowl chances. They're in that group. None of them winning would surprise me that much. But I'm definitely not putting them in my top 5. I mean, I guess in the sense I kind of have to think and figure out exactly who my top 5 are, which isn't something that I do on a daily basis. But assuming
I do my top 5s just
exactly.
They're running through my head 24/7. Walking to work, top 5s.
Just got like a rain.
Top 5s.
I mean, if I think that I've got the Chiefs for sure in, right? I've got the Seahawks for sure in.
Now, you think the Seahawks are a more legitimate contender to win the Super Bowl with absolutely no defense than the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, for 2 reasons. One, I think overall, I think they have the potential to be better. They've got stuff to fix, but they've got the potential to be better. The other thing they have going for them is that, kind of as we discussed last week, the NFC is clearly weaker than the AFC. So the fact that the Seahawks are going to potentially get to the Super Bowl without having to play the Chiefs, you know, like that's the team you kind of want to be avoiding right now. So to me, that's the big thing they have going in their favor.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to be a believer. I don't know. And I guess the argument too that I was bringing up in there is, who is the most valuable player even on that team? Is it Ryan Tannehill, who, played a great game yesterday, drove them back, came back, had a nice win? Or is it Derrick Henry, who is kind of the only running back right now that I would say goes against our argument of any running back can be fit into a position and do well? I think he is going above and beyond that. So I don't know who you would even pick as the most valuable player on that team.
To me, it's clearly Henry. Like, it's not even really
But here's my argument against that. Wait, real quick. I'll just give you my argument against it. Is since Tannehill's come in, they're 14-4. Before Tannehill came in and Marcus Mariota was the quarterback and Derrick Henry was still the running back, they weren't very good.
Sure, but yeah, you can't be a running back in a team that's like constantly turning the ball over. So that's going to make you look bad. Tannehill's a very good game manager. He's Alex Smith to me. You talking about Jimmy G being Alex Smith? Tannehill's Alex Smith. And okay, he had one very good play in that game, the fake spike, right? Deserves credit for that. Good move. Probably won't be talking about it for as long as they talk about like Marino's fake spike. But still, a good play by him. But fundamentally, most of what he does, the thing he's good at is he just doesn't turn the ball over. So, and that's no small feat, right? There's tons of decent quarterbacks in the NFL who are undone by the fact that they turn the ball over on a consistent basis. But put it this way, you can't tell me, and it's tough to say because obviously they drove down the field with 80 seconds left or whatever it was to take the game to overtime. But you can't tell me if it was a playoff game and the Titans are getting the ball back down 7 with under 2 minutes. I'm not loving the fact that you've got Tannehill as the quarterback.
All right, real quick. I'm just going to read you a stat line, and I'm going to read you another stat line. Okay. Quarterback 1. His team is 4-1. He's got a 65% completion rating, 13 TDs, 2 interceptions, 1,374 yards, a QBR of 85. Player B has a 70% completion rating, so 5% more. He has 1,368 yards, so 6 yards less. 13 TDs, same amount. 2 interceptions, same amount. And his QBR is 85.5, so 0.3 better. That is Aaron Rodgers is player 1 and Ryan Tannehill is player 2. So I don't understand how you can call him a game manager when he has the exact same stat line as Aaron Rodgers. And you could put in Josh Allen has 200 more yards, but is practically the same as well.
Okay, let's just pump the brakes for another second. Let me give you another few set of facts. Let's go through the teams, the Titans.
Oh, and Tannehill's 5-0, sorry.
Okay, let's go through the teams, those 5 teams they've beaten. The Broncos, 16-14. The Jags, 33-30. The Vikings, 31-30. The Bills, 42-16. And then the Texans,
that's a massacre.
42-36. There's one good win in that. You, the other day when you were talking about the teams that had played, like when we were doing like how many wins does the other team have? Well, the Titans are playing against a bunch of teams with not many wins, and they're not beating them convincingly with the exception of the Bills. And funnily enough, the only good team they've played is the only team they've looked really quite good against.
Yeah. Prove my point, Eddie.
What's their schedule coming up then, I guess? Because
they
have the Steelers coming up. I cannot wait for that game.
That's the test.
Yeah, for sure. That's the test.
The Steelers will be the test. They have a few tests. In the next few games, they play the Steelers. They play the Bears, which is also kind of like an interesting test because
the Bears.
To me, the Titans might just be a slightly better version of the Bears. So
no way. That is such a slap in the face. See, you are a hater of the Titans. You are disrespecting them.
They play the Colts. They play the Ravens.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I mean,
they could be 16-0.
You look at the remaining games. So they play the Steelers, the tough one. They play the Bengals. That will be a win. They play the Bears in Chicago. Let's give them the win, but it's tough. They play the Colts in Indianapolis. Tough. They play the Ravens. They play the Colts again. They play the Browns. Then they play the Jags, the Lions, the Packers, and the Texans. They might not win that many of those games.
Or they might win them all.
Well, you could say that about everyone.
No, you can't say that about the Jets.
I mean, it is technically a possibility.
Yeah, it will be a very good test these next few weeks coming up. But I still think, I don't think people are giving them enough credit for how consistently they are winning. I mean, that's the bottom line.
And we've said already throughout the year, right? We have mentioned several lines where we think that they don't get it. Even this week, I think we all kind of agreed that they weren't getting. Now, ironically, Frank, you were the only person here who picked the Texans.
I know. And you know what? I was really close to texting you guys midway through the third quarter being like, there's my upset. But I bit my lip. And of course, it ended up not happening.
So your argument that I'm not giving them enough respect or Sam's not giving them enough respect, we gave them respect coming into this week and you didn't. So
yeah,
look, I think every week almost we felt like they haven't had enough respect in the line. That being said, they're not covering a lot of lines because they are squeezing out wins against teams. So, like, equally, you look at the way they've won games, you can't like them by more than 4 or 5 points because they don't win by more than 4 or 5 points.
Yeah.
I mean, they're lucky. The fact that they covered, I mean, let's talk about two things from that game. The decision to go for 2
stupid
is dumb. Really dumb. And the fact that they ended up covering in overtime with a touchdown is also relatively rare. You know, a lot of times if you have a team favored, if you've got a team by -4 or more and you're going into overtime, you're seriously concerned that you're looking at just like maybe they win, but it's probably a game-winning field goal now. So the fact that you had them down 7 with 80 seconds to play and they covered a 4-point spread, like that's a miracle if you had put your money on the Titans. But I guess because I know we wanted to talk a little bit about analytics, the decision to go for 2, there's the element of you kill the game, but we talked about it on the 4th and 1 in the Vikings game a week ago. And to me, what I just don't get is you think like, so what's the risk? We fail here and it's a 7-point game now. So we're basically saying a touchdown, game over. Touchdown overtime, which, okay, we could back our D to stop them from getting a touchdown in 80 seconds. But if you're saying a touchdown plus a 2-point conversion, you're just raising that level of difficulty significantly. It goes back in a sense to then, not that this is a great rule, but like kind of what I discussed last week. How many good plays are you asking the other team to make in order to win that game? And fundamentally, if you said they need the touchdown and the 2-point conversion, you're at least saying you need 2 good plays. And then you're just in overtime. So you're saying 3. But like if you're like, well, you stop us on a 2-point conversion, well.
So here's my question, though, is did the outcome of this game kind of prove the analytics correct or not? Because the analytics are saying to go for the 2 because chances are either they're going to get 7 or 8 because a 2-point conversion should be, I think it's like 60%, 65% success rate. And that with that outcome, you're either going to go to overtime and get a tie, or you're going to go to overtime with the potential to lose it, versus if you go up 9, you've basically won the game. And in this instance, they didn't get it, so they went up 7, but they ended up getting the tie, going to overtime and losing. So doesn't that kind of prove the analytics right that you would have had to have gotten to 9 to win that game because you didn't get to the 2-score scenario, you stayed in a 1-score scenario and lost?
The thing is, we don't know, right? Because we didn't get to see the Titans going for 2.
I know, but I think that kind of shows the analytics part of it is assuming. I mean, the more I read into it, I don't dislike that move because
Oh no, man. It's such a here's the thing is the thing that was perfect about the week before.
But wait, real quick. Okay, go ahead. I'll let you go. Go ahead.
The thing that was perfect about the Seattle situation, right, is we got to see them go for 2. And as we said at the moment, okay, maybe a different level of pressure on going for 2 to extend it to a 3-point lead versus to tie the game. So we didn't get to see necessarily the exact scenario, but at least fundamentally kind of got to see them run that play, and they failed. So there you kind of got to say, wrong move. Now, here, there's 2 things I'll say is there was nothing about the way that they'd been playing that made me think that they were going to be successful in a 2-point conversion. They weren't like moving the ball at ease. They weren't, like converting on short down distances really easily. So why do you think you're suddenly going to be unstoppable on a 2-point conversion? The stats are going to be misleading at times because a lot of the teams that run 2-point conversion consistently are good at doing them. And they have a setup that works. Like you have a super mobile quarterback, you just roll them out. Like the Chiefs are good at them. The Ravens are good at them. Like there are teams where you'd say the 2-point move is a good move. I don't think it's a good move for every team. I don't think every team has a 60% chance of completing a 2-point conversion.
Okay, then if you flip that script and you say that they have to get to the 9 points because otherwise it's a 1-score game, and you're saying you'd rather have the team have to go for the 2 than to just kick the extra point to take it to OT. Yeah, okay. But now look at the team you're playing against. How many times are you going to stuff Derrick Henry on a 2-point conversion? I mean, Derrick Henry's rate on a 2-point conversion is probably 95%. So you have to assume that if the Titans get the ball and score the touchdown, their conversion of a 2-point conversion with Derrick Henry in there is probably really high. So for me, I'm thinking, you know what? I don't want them. If they score, we're going to go to overtime, whether we're up 7 or up 8, because we can't stop Derrick Henry. He's got 220 yards rushing this game. Well, that was a little bit before, but he had 170 yards rushing already at that point. We can't stop him. We can't stop him for 2 yards. So you know what? We need to get to 9 points and make it a 2-score game. Otherwise, we're going to go to OT and we'll probably lose. And that's what they did.
For me, you surely, analytics aside, and I guess slight lack of knowledge aside, but surely you want to put more game-winning events in front of the opposition team. And that's exactly, it seems dumb for me, because what you want to do is you want to be like, right, you've got to score, but then you've got to do something, like then you've got to do a 2-pointer. And for me, it just seems like you should put that in front of them. Like that's the option, right?
Yeah, but then the other option is if you can get 2 yards on your 2-point conversion, now you put them in a scenario where they have to drive down the field, score, then recover an onside kick, and then get that and then score again or kick a field goal. That is the most unlikely scenario. And all you have to do is get 2 yards to make that scenario possible. I don't think it's a terrible call, no. Especially against the Titans, especially against a team that was dominating you that second half. For them to get 2 yards, I would have said would have been no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I just fundamentally disagree. I always throw it back to, right, I'm of that belief of like, what would I have done playing Madden? And I know that that's not the greatest comparison, right? But I think there's elements sometimes where
not
NFL coaches could do with the idea. No, I'm actually a punter, as I think Sam can attest. I punt.
I think
I'm not an idiot when
you always go for 2-point conversions. It doesn't even matter about the stage of the scenario.
I wouldn't in that situation. Now, this interesting.
Wait. He would always go for 2 all the time, except in that specific situation. He's like, nope, not going this time.
No. I don't normally go for 2 in Madden. Maybe against Sam because he's garbage, but like,
wow.
Normally no. But here's what I'll say is here's the interesting comparison. I don't think they should have gone for 2. Then in the Patriots game, so they were down 15, and I think they scored with around like 6 minutes left in the fourth, something around there, 6-7 minutes in that stage. They decided to go for 2 and failed. And the announcers were killing them for it. Like, bad move. You want to keep that to a 1-score game. You want to know you get the ball back. And to me, that is the part where I don't get. Like, you have to go for 2 fairly early on so do we need the ball back another time? To me, okay, maybe it's nice to think that you score as the game expires and you kind of get this singular play. And I guess as a coach, that kind of removes any criticism in the NFL, right, is a conservative league. Like fundamentally, coaches try and avoid being the reason why their team lost. So I get that approach in that respect. But like, to me, I want to go for 2 and know, okay, now we need 2 scores. So that's going to change the way we play defense. It's going to change the way we use our timeouts. And when we get the ball back, it's going to change how quickly we think we need to go down the field. And there I just don't get it.
Yeah. So for those who kind of didn't get what Eddie was saying, they were down 15, right?
Yeah, down 15.
Down 15, scored the touchdown and kicked the extra point.
No, they went for 2.
Down 8 versus going for 2. What?
No, they went for 2.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, they went. Yeah. They went for 2 instead of kicking the extra point to go down 8.
Yes.
And this is the exact same scenario that happened in the Sunday night game when the Rams scored the touchdown down 15 and went for the extra point to go down 8. And Al Michaels said that is absolutely the correct call not to go for 2. He said, I respect analytics, but sometimes I think you need just to throw them in the dumpster and play with your head. Now, I don't know what head Al Michaels has on him, because I am 100% with you, Eddie. Wouldn't you want to know if you need to get the ball back again? Wouldn't you rather know with 2 minutes left, oh shit, we missed our 2-point conversion. Now we need to score quickly, get an onside kick and score again, versus being down by 8, driving down the field with 5 seconds left and then missing the 2-point conversion and going, oh shit, now we got no time left. Whoops, we fucked that up. That it's the dumbest thing to not want to know what you need to do as early as possible with limited amount of time left. I don't understand that. And I wish I could have tweeted Al Michaels, because that was the dumbest thing he's ever said.
You could have.
I don't have Twitter, so I couldn't have.
Well, it's not that hard to sign up, Frank.
It's really difficult sometimes to sign up to things.
Here's the only thing. Yeah. I think it depends how much time is left in the game. So I think if you're in a situation,
if there's 8 minutes, then that's different. But when you have a minute or 2 left.
No, see, I actually disagree with you. I think if you're under about 3 minutes, I want to kick the extra point and keep it a technically 1-score game, because I think you send your defense back onto the field motivated, knowing if we can get the ball back, we give our offense a chance to tie this game. Whereas I think if you send them back on the field down 9, they're like, game over. What's the point in this? We need an absolute miracle to turn this around. We need to turn the ball over once or stop them with, depending on your timeout situation. Then we got to either recover the onside kick or somehow turn the ball over again. Now, in the Patriots situation, it was different because there was, 5-6 minutes left. So you and they had 2 timeouts. You knew you were getting the ball back kind of no matter what, barring a 6-minute drive. And equally, you had a realistic chance, without even forcing a turnover, of getting the ball back twice. So to me there, you go for the 2 so that all right, this is the situation we're in. When we get the ball back next time, we can go on a slow drive to tie the game and take it to overtime, or do we need to hurry up so that we need the ball back another time? But I don't want to go for 2 to effectively end the game with 90 seconds, 2 minutes left. I'll disagree with you there.
No, see, I always think you want to know with as much time as possible. And we can actually bring this full circle with the whole 2-point conversion, winning or losing games, because the Washington Redskins against the Giants in an absolute shit game.
Really, Frank?
Well, they scored with 30 seconds left, down 7, and the Redskins.
He's not talking about you covering up the game. He's talking about the fact that you
I almost got him again
twice.
as well.
Yeah.
You did almost get me again.
Twice.
No, 1.5.
No, you said it twice.
The Washington football team was down 7, scored with 30 seconds left, and decided to go for 2 for the win, and they missed their 2-point conversion. So
here
that kind of brings it to full circle, where how easy is it to get a 2-point conversion? But then again, I think you have to understand the team, like Eddie was saying.
No, but
whereas
he would be my real argument, Frank. In a way, killing the decision to not put yourself up by the 8 points. So yesterday, multiple teams went for 2-point conversions at crucial moments. You had the Patriots did it. You have Washington trying to extend the lead. You had the Eagles needed the 2-point conversion right to tie the game against the Ravens. None of them got it. So the whole 60%, like, it's so skewed by people, the weird teams that go for 2-point conversions on their like first scoring drive of the year, or they go for a weird 2 up 19 to push them to up 21 instead of being up 20. Those like no pressure 2-point conversions change the game, change the statistics so much. But you look at yesterday, they're not gimmies. People talk about them like they're gimmies. Like, the teams fail on them constantly. I certainly know that if I have a bet on a team and they need a 2-point conversion to tie the game, I don't feel comfortable. The way
the Eagles also got 2 2-point conversions that game.
Not when it mattered. Not when it really mattered.
Well,
that's the point.
Statistically, though,
easy to get the 2-point conversion when you're down 21 to like kind of chip into that lead. Yeah, not so hard. But when it's like game on the line, run our best play against the defense running, like full focus, running their possible best play with their best personnel out there, not quite so easy. I mean, probably for the Eagles, probably hurts too, because you probably don't have that many 2-point plays, like really well rehearsed. So when you're running your third one in the same game, you kind of might have run out of the ones that you're like, this is our go-to. Like that might be one of your issues there too. Our probably only other noteworthy game, I'd say, so far. Steelers. How good do they look? I'm going to leave this silence in there so that people can appreciate that. If people could have seen on camera, Frank just like really quickly opened up his oven, which is just off screen, and out of it he pulled up this nice, fresh, hot, steaming humble pie, and he's just pulled it.
Thank God it was only a steaming humble pie.
He's just placed it in front of him, and he's just taking a nice big bite of it.
Yeah, they are looking good. They are looking pretty good. I put that at about 75% Steelers looking good, 25% Browns looking pretty poor.
Well, I mean, as it transpires, right, Baker was injured. Not that I think that excused how bad he was or how bad their offense was, but you can at least throw in the fact that you have in the same way that we're giving the Patriots a mild pass with the Cam Newton situation, you have an injured quarterback, you'll get a little bit of leeway as to like how critical it will be of them against a good defense. But yeah, the Browns didn't look great, but I think the Steelers looked really good.
Yeah. I think first with the Browns, Baker doesn't look great at times, but I don't really want to put it on him so much, because you watch his games and his offensive line pass block is terrible. He's constantly getting hit and pressured. There was one hit he took in that game where it looked like it knocked the breath out of him for a minute. He was like on the ground, just like couldn't breathe, couldn't move, and I think with him, what happens is when you hit him early, he gets really that stereotypical happy feet in the pocket, and he doesn't ever trust the pocket anymore, ever. And he gets it. And as soon as he feels an inch of pressure, he's like out of there, and it's plays dead. He's just throwing it out of bounds, things like that. So part of that obviously is him.
For a second, I misunderstood when you meant obviously the play is dead, but I thought you meant like he was like playing dead, like playing possum, like mid play, like senses the pocket collapsing and just collapses to the ground instantly. Like, did they notice me, guys? Did they notice me?
So I haven't got this terrible yardage. I just keep falling on the ground.
I think we got away with that one.
They didn't touch me.
Everyone be quiet. I'm going to try and roll into the end zone.
His stats don't look great, but I don't think a lot. Like, if you give him better pressure and you make him feel comfortable in the pocket, I think he'll be a lot more effective than he can be right now, because he did not look comfortable yesterday. And hats off to the Steelers defense, because I think they are what's impressed me the most yesterday. They were all over him. Every play, it looked like they had 2-3 rushers on him. I mean, he was all over the place. So that is a solid defense. I think did I see they're the only defense in the NFL under 20 points, letting up like 18.8 or something like that. So they're playing well.
This year in the NFL, being a defense giving up less than 30 points is pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think you're right about Mayfield, with the like that he panics, he gets the happy feet early, he doesn't go through his progressions, which interestingly enough actually was one of the criticisms that Steve Young had of Jimmy Garoppolo early in the season. Kind of the same sort of thing. Steve Young was basically saying that's one of the things he had to learn as an NFL quarterback, and that it took him time. But and by time he meant a couple years, but to have the confidence of like moving through your progressions and not like what he felt that Jimmy Garoppolo did was to like instantly almost give up on the play, that you like didn't see a guy was open. And so instantly you've either moved on from that guy or you've decided that the play itself is just done for. And he's basically, his message to them was like, it takes guys a little bit of time to get open. Like you can't imagine that every single like play, your wide receiver is going to break from his route and be instantly open, especially if you're expecting him to go like 20, 25 yards downfield. He's not going to just be a yard in front of a guy right from the line of scrimmage every single time. So that maybe that's a piece of advice that Baker needs to learn from as well, particularly when he has such good wide receivers around him. Like you have to trust those guys that they are going to get themselves open. And you have to trust that your pocket's going to protect you for the sort of 3 seconds you need sometimes for them to do that. And instead he just panics. And then I also think it's the downside to those like semi-mobile college quarterbacks, which Mayfield's in that category of like not genuinely mobile, but kind of mobile, where they think that they can make a play taking off because they could do it in college. And it's like, no, everyone's faster here and bigger. So when you try and roll out of your pocket and make a play, you're just getting sacked.
What, 5 times in the game, right?
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I don't hold it too much against him, because when you watch the games, he's getting massacred. I mean, I think just about anybody back there would be, have happy feet and want to get the hell out of there. He just gets crushed. If I were him, I'd start screaming at my lineman at some point. I mean, just that image of him though on the ground, that one hit he took, where the lineman tries to like kind of help him up, and he just is just completely immobile. Obviously, can't catch his breath. You gotta feel bad for him.
He's playing dead.
He might have been dead. It might have been an act.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. And also tougher to do that once the game became clear that it was over. Like it's one thing to stick in.
He did get benched, right?
Yeah, but it's one thing to stay in the pocket and like know you're going to throw and then get hit when it's a tight game and you want to make plays. But when you've kind of worked out in your head, this game's probably done. Do I really want to get hit 4 or 5 more times really hard by quite like impressive line and linebackers? You probably at that moment, you're just like, you know what? Just get me out of here. And other interesting decisions from the weekend in the Premier League. Once again, VAR reared its ugly head with 2 controversial decisions, both in the same match, and both probably, well, you'd say both changed the outcome of the match. The less controversial of them, I suppose, being Jordan Henderson's what probably would have been winning goal being disallowed because Sadio Mane was offside in the build-up. I guess because his shirt sleeve was a bit too big. I'm not entirely. I have to say, watching it when they first showed the replay, I thought he was going to be offside, and then when they actually cut to the like actual breaking down of the decision, suddenly it was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. And even though to me it was funny, and I want City to win the league, so I wasn't unhappy with the fact that he was offside. The fact that those are the margins that we're talking about. As we've discussed before, it's so ridiculous. There has to be some better rule for whether or not you're offside. There just has to be some improvement. But Sam, I'd be interested to then get your thoughts. That one's one thing, and we kind of discussed the offside rule before. But your thoughts on the Jordan Pickford, Virgil van Dijk situation. Frank, I don't know if you actually saw this.
Did you see the tackle, Frank?
No, I didn't actually.
So Jordan Pickford, obviously, I guess former England goalkeeper, let's call him that now, because I don't think he's getting anywhere near that number one position again.
No, you can't say that yet. Honestly, you can't say that yet.
But essentially, ignoring all of the VAR and what happened, essentially, Cross came in and he, nothing short of kind of ran out and scissor kicked, like scissor swiped Van Dijk at knee high. And Van Dijk's injury is his ACL, isn't it?
Yeah, so he's out for probably 6 to 8 months. His season's done. So which obviously for Liverpool, huge implications because he's probably their most important player.
I just watched it now. Ooh.
Oh, I think for sure that's their season. I think Liverpool lose the league because of that event.
Which, let's be fair, Everton fans, not even if you're people who don't wish ill on a player, right? You don't want to see someone injured. They will probably be mildly pleased that the Merseyside derby has been involved in an incident that probably has, if it hasn't ended Liverpool's title hopes, has at least significantly dented them, far more than them beating them would have done, right? But here's the thing: some people have been talking about
Pickford feels bad. It looks like
some people have been talking. Well, here's the thing: some people have been talking about it as if like what Pickford did was sort of malicious. I don't think so. I think he was just a goalkeeper coming out really quickly to make himself as big as possible. I think that's just like you get out, you throw yourself as big as you can. You try and get in the way of the ball. The controversy here, right, is the fact that it then turned out Van Dijk was offside, and so then there was no punishment for Pickford, which raises an interesting question. We've always kind of laughed. Sam and I have always laughed.
Wait. Would there have been?
It was a penalty. It was going to be a penalty, and then the question becomes, it's probably just a booking for Pickford because the idea with the penalty now is to not have the double punishment of a penalty.
Yeah.
And however, had it been interpreted as being sort of serious foul play, he could have also been sent off for what he'd done.
Yeah. That's what's stupid about it, because they do this set. It's almost like a step. So they're basically like, look, first things first, is it offside? Second one, is it a clear penalty? And then the third one is obviously the serious foul play and things like that. And because step one was yes, it basically invalidates everything past it. But apparently you can check for a red card. If the offside is an offside, you can still check to see if it is serious foul play. But the thing is, apparently VAR did check the there's a bit of confusion about it, but apparently VAR checked the tackle to see if it was serious foul play and it deserved a red card. And they didn't even recommend that the referee go to take a second look at it or anything like that. So that would mean, if reported correctly, that they saw this absolute scissor knee-high tackle and said, genuine attempt to play the ball. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying with that.
This is where I do struggle with it. I think it is a genuine attempt to play the ball in a way. So part of me doesn't dislike the fact that he wasn't then sent off, even if he was offside. To me, it raises a more interesting question about the rules, which is, should you being offside then invalidate the potential of, say, winning a penalty or a free kick? It's an interesting one. I mean, we always joke about it, Sam, in like FIFA, because we'll always have like a player's offside, and then we intentionally try and scythe someone down. Now, the good thing about FIFA is the game is programmed in such a way that you don't injure someone when you do that. It's just funny to like horrifically take someone out and the referee not notice it. And fundamentally,
some sense of humor you've got, Eddie.
No. But this is a funny point that Eddie's making, because it does mean that you get this like brief window where you're like, he's offside, so I'm going to absolutely destroy him, and nothing will happen because of it. Because it's offside, it invalidates everything after.
Yeah, and to me, it's weird. And now here's the thing is, it's obviously not the case, right? Because you have players who are sent off for off-the-ball incidents, or for things when one foul occurs and then another foul occurs, and that kind of the more serious nature of the second foul means that that's the one that's dealt with. So you have it happen in football all the time. It's just interesting to me in a way that they are kind of saying, and not that I think there are many footballers in the world who would ever intentionally try and injure another player, but they are raising the possibility. Yeah. But they are raising the possibility that you could know a player was offside and then decide to throw yourself into a very dangerous tackle, in a sense, knowing that it was a win-win situation almost. And that, to me, is interesting. And I don't know whether you should say, like, it's a weird one, right? But part of me feels like if he's offside, you can still give away a penalty. You fouled him. It's not as if play ground to an immediate halt, right? Because, so that's the tough one. VAR. Or maybe at least a dead ball, an indirect free kick in the penalty area, something that's gone totally out of fashion. You never see those anymore. You used to see them when we were kids. You used to see them all the time. You never see them anymore.
What, the indirect free kick in the box?
Yeah, you just never see it.
I mean, remember Alan Shearer's England goal? That's like one of my most famous goals, when he just thumped it from like 3 yards out. I feel like I saw Shearer take at least 10 indirect free kicks in the penalty area over the course of his career. I can't remember seeing a single one in the past few years. I'm sure someone will point out one that I've forgotten, but fundamentally, you never see them anymore. And they were relatively commonplace which is the other thing, right? We've seen the spike in penalties, and I mean, I guess it's also, that's the world in which this non-penalty decision has to be viewed. We're giving away penalties for handballs where like players are half an inch away from the ball, not looking, and it gets smacked into their hand, and that's a penalty. But you potentially ended someone's career, but sorry, he was a foot offside when it happened. We'll overlook that one.
Isn't it a little difficult though to kind of change it into what you're saying, because of VAR? Because now they're letting a lot of offside plays carry on and not stopping them right away, where you're going to have so many more scenarios like that pop up. So there's a higher likelihood of that happening. So it's more of a 100%. Risk to then say we're still going to award penalties, because 5 years ago you wouldn't have had every play just continuing for no stupid reason just because we have VAR. So let's just let the play continue and go to VAR.
100%. No, you're right. So there's no perfect solution to that. In my mind, I think you'd have to draw a distinction between like plays that happen in a split second before the offside decision was made, or before a player might have known that there was an offside, versus say you let play run from just inside the half and a player runs for 5 seconds and then gets tackled from behind going into the penalty area, and you say, okay, that scenario shouldn't have happened. But when it's like a ball played into the box, a player was marginally offside, he instantly gets tackled. And it's like, well, no, we're not going to bail the defender out here, because if he was so confident that the attacking player was offside, he shouldn't have made a challenge.
But that's the dumb thing about how they implement offside as well, because they check for it during, it can be at any point during an attacking phase. And I think we saw it last year with the Spurs Man City game. It was where there was a handball, maybe about 7 or 8 phases earlier. I'm probably exaggerating there, but it's probably like 3 or 4. And Man City had that goal disallowed because it hit Laporte's arm and then bounced around a few people, a few shots. Then there was the goal.
Yeah.
But they were like, nope, there was a handball probably a good 5 or 6 seconds before the goal, maybe even more. and it's just, it's dumb. It's really dumb. It's not even, it's not getting implemented well, but also it's the inconsistency. This is something I never get. It's the inconsistency of when it's asked. It almost seems sometimes that the referees will ask if players scream enough at them. And then there'll be times where everyone's like, this is the most obvious thing to go check VAR. And they're like, nope, I'm so convinced that, because the referees will come out and they'll be like, I'm so convinced of my decision that I'm not going to check VAR. And it's like, well, why is it there then?
Yeah, no. And to me, that's where the English approach is broken, because the European approach, more of a fifth official telling you, ooh, look, you might want to take a closer look at that. That's the better approach to me. I mean, rugby has it the best way, right? Which is the idea that they refer it, phrasing it in a way where they put the video ref in a position where it's informing what specifically the level of doubt they're looking for. So already to me, that's an interesting approach. And then second of all, they look at it together on the big screen. So one, it keeps all the supporters or the players aware of what is being looked for and checked. And two, it means that the referee then automatically gets that second look at a major incident where he also gets to see it and kind of base that on what he saw with speaking with his linesman and having the understanding of, okay, this is what happened. This is what I saw. Okay, maybe now my opinion has changed. But yeah, this idea that in a sense, these video refs, these who I'm going to say unnamed, even though, okay, we know exactly who it is each time, but these kind of mystery video refs are out there making major decisions when you're not seeing them and you're not knowing exactly always what they're looking at or what sort of sequence or process they're going through. It's just ridiculous.
Do you remember that absolute joke when it first came in where they used to draw the lines along the pitch?
Yeah.
And Frank, did you ever see this? So basically, it's a sensible idea if you actually use like a CAD system that actually draws perfect lines.
Which is what they do now.
This guy essentially picked up a felt tip pen and just went across the screen. And these lines were, honestly, if you got a protractor on them, they were 20 degrees off against the actual straight line. Because what they had done is they had taken the camera shot, which was angled, and then they've gone, oh, this is a straight line. So they declared something offside when he was about half a yard on, maybe, or something, but because of the angle. And then obviously they corrected it because of that. But I mean, that's actually a good point, Eddie. You were talking about rugby, because what they say is that NFL does it as well. It's like, do I have enough evidence to overturn my initial decision? And I think that approach would change these offsides, because if it's like his toe is offside, it's like, okay, the ruling would stand because it's marginal. The offside is marginal.
Well, that would be the tough thing, right? Because they would argue that offside is absolute. So they would say, no, we have enough evidence to overrule. To me, the offside rule just has to be changed. It has to be that you either have to be, to me, almost the clear daylight element, right, was what everyone said that you used to have, although that was never the rule. That was just like a guiding thing given to touch judges to help them, in a sense. Like, if you saw clear daylight, he was probably offside. If you didn't, he probably wasn't. But in a way, the clear daylight rule, when you are then making this kind of such a exact interpretation, would just make more sense. Because literally now you're just like, well, I've got bigger feet than you. I'm offside. I wasn't gaining an advantage, but I wear size 12.
Well, if you got bigger feet, you're gaining a little bit of an advantage probably in other spots.
Well, Sam would as a size queen, but Frank, your shorts were riding up a little bit there, talking about size queen. A very clear view of quite a lot of you. It's fair to say parts of you might have been offside if that had been a controversial goal line decision.
Just learned a lot about Frank.
Tough to find shorts that fit sometimes.
Oh, well. Shame we've already discussed Stradivarius, because otherwise that would have been a natural.
the Duke of Swagger. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
VAR's done. VAR is they need to do something about it, because you remember, what was it when, because one of the best things VAR could ever do is the goal line technology, right? That was going to be the thing that was going to almost be a game changer, because there were so many instances where it's frustrating for that to happen and it's so obvious the technology can stop it. But then there was that time in the Aston Villa Sheffield United game where it didn't work. And what was it?
Yeah.
So all of the sensors,
we're obstructed.
every single
Blocked,
sensor,
yeah.
was obstructed. So
now here's the thing: is right. They could fix that. They're refusing to put chips in the ball, so they could fix that scenario just by putting chips in, and just having like GPS tracking on the ball, and then it wouldn't be an issue either. But yeah, I mean, that, at least, as unfortunate as that was, at least you can explain that one and just say, look, this was a freak scenario. Now, that turned out to be a huge one, in the sense that probably changed who went down in the Premier League.
It kept Aston Villa up, and now they're going to win the league. So it's these fine lines.
That might be a little bit extreme, but
Overreaction of the week.
They aren't going down this season, in all likelihood, right? So you have bought Aston Villa probably another few seasons of Premier League football, which is another huge chunk of money, which means that even in the scenario that Aston Villa do go down 4 or 5 seasons from now, they are in such a strong financial position when dropping back into the Championship that they instantly become, very, very, very safe bets for staying in the league. So, like, yeah, it changes the landscape at the lower half of the table and potentially even the top half of the Championship in the future. So huge, but you can understand that one and just being like, sorry. Although the problem there, right, is that they could have used the video ref to say, yeah, I can clearly see the ball was over.
Yeah, why isn't that happening? Is it because they've got no instruction to?
I think so. Yeah, I think that was one of that wasn't one of the things they're there to check.
You would think you would just check it though, right? Just put on the goal and be like, I'm just going to give it a check. And then you'd be like, wait.
You would have thought so, but then I guess part of you would be afraid that even though it looks really obvious on the video, that somehow there's something wrong with the video. And if all the sensors haven't gone off, that somehow then you're going to be the guy who steps in to say, no, that ball was over the line. And the ref says, wait, really? Yeah, for sure. And then after the match, they say, oh no, he just had a weird angle.
And then you realize how much money he had on it.
Exactly, yeah. On first goal scorer. But yeah. And the other, we spoke a little about the City Arsenal match. I kind of don't think it was noteworthy. Fairly dull match. City won.
Yeah.
That is what it is. The only other really interesting result from the Premier League, I guess, this weekend was the epic Spurs collapse. And I'm going to say collapse more than I'm going to give West Ham credit for the comeback. But the incredible Spurs collapse on Sunday night, which, again, for context, for anyone who didn't watch it, they were 3-0 up with, I think the 82nd minute is when West Ham scored their first goal and managed to draw 3-3, which is just extraordinarily impressive. Also, given the fact that they were just well on top anyway, so it wasn't one of those matches where you felt like, oh, a goal could change things. When it went to 3-1, I thought, man, this isn't going to matter.
Yeah.
Even at 3-2, I thought. And I mean, Gareth Bale nearly put them 4-2 up anyway. So
only Mourinho could bring on Gareth Bale and draw 3-3 from a 3-0 position. It's just... It's pretty spectacular because everyone was playing well for Spurs at that moment. Kane obviously was scoring really well. Son was playing well. They brought Bale on. Everything was looking good for them to have a convincing win and a bit more momentum. And then to go and do that against, those are the games that Spurs will look back. And if they miss out on any sort of like Champions League or Europe, those are the games where they look back and they're just like, this was ridiculous how we could ever let it happen. And it just shows the kind of Mourinho, in my opinion, it just shows that kind of Mourinho approach of the kind of cautious build from the back, build on defense isn't happening.
I don't think you can blame Mourinho for any of that. To me, that questions it's the character in the squad. I don't think you can question Mourinho. I mean, maybe you make different subs, but you had to bring Bale on because you're trying to introduce him into the side, right? And you would have argued 3-0 up, perfect time to bring Bale on and let him get some sort of, in a sense, sort of easy game time. But I don't know. And okay, it took an extraordinary strike to make it 3-3 anyway, so you also have to throw that one into the mix. But no, I just think I don't think I wish that they were still doing the Amazon documentary about Spurs, because I would like to see what Mourinho said when they went back in after the match. You could kind of tell me anything. You could tell me he didn't say anything, and I might believe that.
I would actually go down like the genuine shell shock, where he's just like, I'm not saying anything. Didn't go in, didn't see him.
But
like, that's how I would do it.
But you could also tell me that he just ripped them all apart one by one.
The hairdryer treatment, yeah. I worry for Spurs with those kind of collapses. I just feel like they have the capacity to. I just feel like they're a team that will have those more often than not this season, compared to the teams that they're supposedly competing with. You know, the kind of Man U, Chelsea, Arsenal, maybe throw Wolves, Leicester in there as well. I just don't see the Spurs look, even though they've had some all right results, and obviously the Man U thumping was, you know, an incredible result, but they don't fill me with any confidence. And if anything, that has just kind of confirmed that for me.
Yeah, I mean, you'd argue that they're scoring goals for fun, right? So they have that going for them. They look, going forward, they look the most potent team in the league right now. And that's without Gareth Bale playing any real part so far, right? So you would imagine that's only going to get better. But defensively, still huge question marks. It's okay, they got Eric Dyer. If they could just bring Harry Maguire in and then have Eric Dyer and Harry Maguire at the back. Great name combination for starters, right? The Dyer-Maguire pairing. But also just two massive heads slowly moving in the back line.
I mean, one slab head stuck there, the other one running off the field to take a shit.
It'd probably be smart, right? Because if you could maybe just put them on mild steroid plans. So, I mean, this is coming from me, right? I've got a very big head. But if you could just put them on mild steroid plans so their heads became just a little bit bigger, they might each get their own gravitational pull, and then just defending would be simple.
Well, you can imagine that, like a shot whizzing past their head and just the ball stopping. And
just
it just starting to
just slamming in.
Slowly just starting to orbit around them. And
yeah,
no
remember
really
who was that Brazilian player who went like viral on the internet in a way before viral video concepts was a thing? But the one who used to do the seal headers all the way down the pitch. I don't know if you remember that. Like in the early 2000s, he became really famous for that. And he would just, there were all these videos of him playing in the Brazilian league, and he would literally just put the ball on his head and just sprint down the pitch, just bouncing, like doing that. And then if you imagine, it would be like that, but instead Harry Maguire or Eric Dyer would just have the ball orbiting around their head as they sprinted down the pitch before eventually just throwing themselves into the net to score.
What's funny is those are at the moment, I know Maguire scored, but those are the players with that kind of ability and gift. They would be the ones that somehow they would mess up this scenario. I don't know what Maguire would do. Like
Kurlon, by the way. It was Kurlon, who was also a great player in Football Manager for a while, which would tease, if there are any Football Manager fans out there, we are going to have a great episode where we preview the upcoming release of the new version of Football Manager and talk to one of the major Football Manager content creators about Football Manager, being an American, supporting kind of getting involved in the football world and just other things in general. But we are probably our first real guest, and it will be an exciting one out there for anyone who has had a moment in their life where they've become addicted to football/championship manager.
Got the new one coming out next month, actually.
Yeah,
we could maybe coincide it with that.
No, I think that's the goal, right? But to have him on a couple weeks before.
Should I start playing in the new one?
I mean, you can. I think
we could report on the podcast how we're all getting on.
maybe you. So Zealand is the guy. Maybe you and Zealand can start a file together. You can go on Twitch together and stream your new Football Manager file. But what you have to imagine is, Frank, it's like, imagine mixing football with Excel spreadsheets.
Ooh.
And just imagine
okay,
that.
I'm interested.
It is stats. You have just got a huge amount of tabbed screens and you are just statting it up. It's basically football's take on like how baseball looks for all the statisticians. I think you'd like it.
And for context,
I think I would like it.
For context, right? You don't actually play. You just watch your team. You're just the manager. So there's no actual control over what happens apart from giving them instructions and substituting players and changing tactics. That's it.
Yeah. And then you get Eddie's semi-pedophilic manager tactics where he just signs only like 15-year-old boys most of the time. Although you've been prevented now, haven't you? From doing
they've changed the regulations, and it's my Jeffrey Epstein child trafficking ring that I was starting in Blackburn every year has had to been railed, sort of tailed back in.
Usually Brazilian boys as well, Frank, in case you were curious.
They're the best because you don't know, boy or girl. You never know until they turn up. Sometimes I would get a great new star for the first 11, and sometimes I get a girlfriend.
Since we're on the European football talk, and we've mentioned this in previous ones, have you guys seen the new Ronaldo Instagram post? Speaking about how he posted on those ones on his yacht with those weird posts and creepy messages that he put up. Have you seen the new one?
No, what's he done?
I mean, let's just say in future, Frank, if you ever have to ask either one of us the question, have you seen Ronaldo's latest Instagram post? I think that you can just take no as the default answer.
So you don't think Sam's trolling or on his Instagram post?
No.
Well, this is his new one. This is his new picture that he puts up.
He's looking fat.
It's just him in a skimpy bathing suit next to his private pool, just like with a smile on his face because he's in self-isolation because he tested positive. And his post is, don't let what you can't do stand in the way of what you can do. What the fuck is that supposed to mean with that picture?
That really helps when you've got millions and millions of pounds worth of money. It's really easy.
I think we have to analyze this in two different ways, right? The message itself, vapid, potentially meaningless, but well-intended, I suppose. That being said, the message combined with that image is so
him in
dumb.
a skimpy bathing suit on his pool, shredded.
I'm not going to knock him. If I looked that good, I would be posting skimpy bathing suit pictures every 15 minutes, right?
But if you looked that good and were him, though, would you still do it? Like if you were just a normal guy who looked that good and that was what you had going on in your life, then yes. But if you are also one of the best players in the world and have made like almost $1 billion, do you still really need to post? Do you still really need to post all those up?
Yes, I actually think the opposite.
It's quite small, though. I mean, for someone that's got like $1 billion, it seems like a small pool.
It's probably just his bath.
That's just his indoor pool.
Yeah, that's like the pool before the big pool. You know, where you like
that's the pool in his bathroom.
Yeah. Oh, like when you have, I mean, you used to do this when you're a swimmer, like the pools that you get wet in before you then actually get into the pool so that your body's already wet.
Yeah.
But
that could be.
Here's what I'll say. I disagree with you because I'm fine with him posting this in the sense that he has the exact life that he wants. So I'm fine with him posting the kind of like smug, not that they are smug necessarily, but like the smug showing off Instagram post. If you're like a manager at Denny's, I don't care if you have that body. If that's your Instagram post, I would be like, no, let's calm this one down, Steve. All right. Well, we don't care that you look like that. We know you're miserable every day when you wake up and go to work.
I hope one of our fans is a Steve who's a current manager at Denny's and is just thrown his phone into the woods. He's done. He's never listening again.
He is. I'm just taking shots at him. He's been going to the gym. Yeah. He's been working on his
poor guy.
I'm
Yeah.
letting him know. No one gives a shit, Steve. Your life still sucks.
Steve from
Paul, and then
Denny's
we'll
has been
talk.
working his ass off the past year. Hasn't eaten a Denny's meal in a year, even though he's the manager, just so he can keep his figure.
Exactly. Just wanted to show the world his progress, and I'm telling him, put it away. Nobody cares.
So that's one COVID related, I guess, occurrence. The other one, I think that's completely opposite. That was funny, is the Philadelphia Eagles are notorious for having the worst fan base in the NFL. They are super scummy. They'll fight anybody, throw beer bottles, glass anyone at a game. So much so that in the last stadium the Eagles had, there was a courthouse in the basement of the stadium that when people were arrested for fighting, they would just bring them right down there to sentence them, supposedly. Did you see that they're still fighting in the stands because they're letting limited people in? But it just makes it so funny because they have to be separated because of COVID. So there's this video of an Eagles fan fighting a Ravens fan, but he's got to climb down like 9 rows of seats as he's just like yelling at him and just like trying to get over each row of the seats. So it's about 20 seconds of him like really struggling to get to this guy before he just starts unwailing at him. It was so funny.
That's what you have to say. Like, that's when you know you're a real head case. Because like I can get getting into a fight or an argument, but you'd usually think like if you have any opportunity to like calm down for a second, or for you to like see the moment, that you should stop. I remember when I was a kid, my dad's not like a big road rage guy or anything, but once when we were driving, this guy was just like right on his tail the whole time. And then like at multiple traffic lights honking at him and things. And we were going through this windy road. And eventually my dad kind of did the gesture of like, oh, you want to start, like, let's stop. Let's like sort this out, and pulled over to the side of the road. And the guy pulled over behind. The guy got out of his car, and my dad like opened his door, and he went to get out too to take on the guy, but he forgot to take his seatbelt off. So he just, he just tried to hop out of the car and then just bounced back in. And to his credit, even he laughed, but it also gave him that moment of just like his head cleared. And then it was like, what am I doing here? Let's just leave.
You've got to
I
look
feel
cool
like-
doing it. You lost all coolness.
But I feel like
you
that's
got
the-
stuck in a seatbelt.
I feel like that's the equivalent of having to hop over multiple steps. It's like maybe by like row 4, you should be like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, so you guys are currently seeing the video now.
Wow, they are really going for each other there.
Oh, Eagles fans, no mercy in Philly. But look, it's like he's already doing it. That's 2,
And,
3,
and someone's
4,
trying to hold him
5,
back.
6, 7
There's
rows
actually
about.
what's impressive about that video though is there's a part where we actually, rather than, because I would have like taken a step over, then done another step. He does it all in one go at one point. Like he
Yeah.
is clearing the
Like
left
Like
foot,
left, right,
foot,
left, right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's you have to give him a bit of credit there for like the style points, like the degree of difficulty, because I don't think I could clear it down over steps that smoothly.
Just seeing you do that and just like clip your left foot and just stack it down the stairs.
Now here's my question. If you're the guy who was on the receiving end of this and saw this guy coming down, if you see him trip and eat it, do you then take your opportunity and
Yes.
just wail on him as he's
I'm
like
gonna go
knocked
with
out cold from hitting his head on the seat? Like
Well,
that's
here's
your
the-
opportunity?
You knew what he was coming to do. Absolutely, you're going over there, screaming him.
Well, here's the killer for that guy, right? So you have this moron hopping over the steps, but he has a friend who just walks down the stairs on the left-hand side, and then
Yeah.
also wails on the guy. So that's the unfortunate scenario for the guy inviting the oncoming traffic.
Yeah, the very Philadelphia thing about this is not so much the guy climbing over 10 rows just because he has to get into a fight, but the other guy who sneaks around the side, as Eddie said, and gets like 3 good shots in this guy as they're currently fighting each other. He just jumps in and cheap shots him 4 times and then walks away.
I mean, I guess you'd have to say the thing that makes it even dumber, right? You have to know you're getting arrested.
Oh, yeah.
Like in a normal stadium scenario, maybe you're able to kind of merge back into the crowd, move away. Maybe you leave the stadium or just kind of like go and decide to get a drink and then kind of find a new spot to stand and watch the game in maybe. But the fact that you're one of only a few thousand people, it's fully empty seats. Someone's going to see you. The fact that you have to go through all that, it's like you're guaranteeing that you are going to prison.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so the related post for that video is a link that goes, Philadelphia Eagles, another fan punches police horse. That's when you know Philly is notorious for their fans. It's another.
Is he like, the thing I love about this is he punching it because he felt like the horse was giving him shit? What's that?
Well, here's a real question for you, for both of you. Which horse in your history of following horse races have you most wanted to punch in the face post-race? I can tell you mine.
That's a good question.
I don't have to think about it. It's Annie Power. And I wish I could have approached Annie Power when it was sort of on the ground after that hurdle and just tried to sort of choke it out on the ground.
Would you have choked out Annie Power or Mullins? I mean, or Ruby Walsh.
Ruby Walsh. Wow. Ruby Walsh, I could have probably done with one hand whilst also trying to take on the horse.
I've got the idea of Eddie like getting so pissed off at Annie Power and Ruby Walsh that he runs over to Mullins and starts strangling him.
I mean, that's also one of my favorite memories of attending a race. I remember when I was at Warwick and going to Warwick Racecourse on one of the days when there were maybe only like 300 people there. It was for like a Wednesday afternoon day at the races. But obviously that had included a bunch of guys either on an office Christmas party or like a stag do, like a bachelor party. And they just got absolutely trashed over the course of the races. And then in between the races at one moment in time, they were all egging each other on. And one of them decided to hop over the fence and run onto the straight. And he was maybe, I'm going to say 2 furlongs away from home from where he hopped over. And he he was just like sprinting down the home straight with his hands out, screaming. And there wasn't a lot of security there, but 1 or 2 stewards hopped over to try and chase him, but did so in pursuit, which was the odd move.
Oh, no.
It's like you gotta outrun him now, and he obviously has way more motivation to run faster than you. And then a couple of police officers hopped on to try and catch him. So you were in this like bizarre Benny Hill sketch.
It's a Benny Hill.
Yeah.
You have this guy running down, and credit to him, he not only kept going, but then with the way Warwick Racecourse happens, like at the end of the home straight, it kind of feeds into a road. So he just proceeded to run straight into the road and just never turned around and just left. He had to do a solid maybe 800-meter sprint to do it, but then just was gone. Never got caught.
So when he ran into on the straight, there wasn't a race going or anything.
No, that would have been actually. That was the interesting. That happened this.
There
weekend.
was. He won.
Yeah. No, in New Zealand this
His
weekend.
name was Annie Power.
I saw this video from New Zealand horse racing this weekend. So as you know, it's like common, particularly in France. Actually, it's super common that there are small like pitch and putt golf courses in a ring at racetracks or like driving ranges, that kind of stuff. Obviously, they have that in New Zealand quite often too. And what is interesting is seemingly
wait. So in the inner ring of the racetrack?
Yeah. You have that at a lot of golf courses. And so even like Longchamp has a driving range in it. And I think it has, but the interesting thing is that normally in France, for example, and they close that when there's a day of races. Seemingly in New Zealand, they didn't.
Oh God!
And then some idiot who was playing golf obviously hit himself slightly off course onto the middle of the home straight, and then walked onto the home straight to try and play his shot, but did so with horses about 150 yards away from him. The video is quite incredible because it's this guy literally lining up his shot with his like 5-iron, standing over the ball, and then he obviously suddenly either hears or sees the horses out of the corner of his eye and notices like 8 horses barreling directly towards him, and then just sprints off and avoids any like serious injury or anything. But just the idiocy on the part of the race course, that they don't see that as like even if the person isn't dumb enough to run on, just imagine that like someone like totally skewed a shot and just like nailed a jockey in the head.
That's what I was thinking. Like, how furious would you be in the stands if you're betting on like the horse out in front at the moment? You're about to make a killing, and then you don't see it because the golf ball's too small, but your horse just stacks it from being smacked in the side of the head.
I mean, even if it didn't hit the horse right, it might be enough to spook it. So you might have an incident where the horse jinks and the jockey is unseated, or the horse kind of comes to a halt and something. I mean, just really dumb on the part of the race course to allow that to happen. But yeah, it happened. Throw that into another weird sporting incident from the weekend.
I've never seen that before in the racetrack. I'll have to look out for that next time.
France, I would say almost every racetrack in France has some golf course or like driving range in the middle, because it's just a good way to use or you have area. Weird scenarios like the racetrack at Saint-Malo has a rugby pitch in the middle. So it's like a multi-purpose venue where it has lower league French rugby, or it's a racetrack. Now, admittedly, it means that this stand is very far away from the rugby pitch if you do go and watch a match. But it makes sense, because otherwise you'd have this huge area of land right in the middle, which in some instances, right, might be kind of prime real estate that is kind of unused and useless. Now, I guess we kind of wrapped up some sports. We briefly mentioned baseball, but maybe worth saying it's World Series time. And Sam the Squid had another 2-for-2 round in his playoff predictions.
So did I.
Yeah, no, we all did.
Oh, I'm a squid.
I'm just saying that
that's true.
Sam the Squid is 6 for 6 on his most recent predictions. And I think you're now 10 for 14 on your baseball picks for the playoffs.
I had a really bad first round, and I only got like 50% of them, I think.
Yeah, you went 4 for 4 round 1, 4 for 8 round 1, 4 for 4 round 2, 2 for 2 round 3, and now it's the World Series. So Sam, who is your World Series winner? The Tampa Bay Rays or the LA Dodgers?
I think they're going to have, that the title town you spoke about, I'm going Tampa. I think they're going to have a killer year. Yeah, I'm going Tampa.
And you have to say in how many?
Oh, well, let's save that after. Let's everyone get their pick in, and then we'll do so that everyone gets their, like, because what you don't want is a scenario that, like, Sam says in 6, you also would have thought in 6, so then you change your pick because you think it's more likely you win some other way.
Gotcha.
So, Frank, who's your pick?
I'm going Dodgers. They had a nice comeback to make it into the series, and I think they'll ride that momentum.
I'm a little torn here because I predicted the Dodgers in round 1. I don't like the fact that Clayton Kershaw is continuing to be an awful pitcher in the playoffs. To me, that's maybe one of the weirdest things in sport, in a way, that you have arguably the most dominant regular season pitcher of all time who is almost unstartable in the playoffs. And this is now a relatively large sample size. So I don't love that fact, but because I picked the Dodgers the whole way around, I can't flip picks now. So I'm also going to take the Dodgers. So Sam, I guess how many games you think it goes doesn't matter now, but what do you think the series score is?
What's it out of? Does it change?
7.
Love that question.
For anyone doubting, right? For anyone thinking that we're making up your lack of knowledge, also your inability to like retain knowledge is the incredible part. This is one of those things I kind of look forward to it. I feel like if our podcast becomes really popular, and I mean this with not as a dig at you, but you might kind of evolve. Like the Sam the Squid character is like the Carl Pilkington of our podcast. And the idea that you'd have this guy where people are like, surely this is a character. Like by now he's figured out. Like he knows who these teams are. It's like, nah, he just instantly forgets. He somehow never sees any of the scores.
I really try. I mean, it's easy to do with baseball, right? It's not reported in the UK, so it's kind of easy to avoid. But I really try because I try to limit as much knowledge as I can to retain the innocence of my picks.
Well, baseball is going to be easy for you for two reasons. One, yes, you're definitely going to forget, and there's almost no coverage in the UK. Like you will get NBA highlights. You obviously get NFL like live games and highlights, but even if you're watching like the full hour of Sky Sports news, they show almost no baseball. Like unless it's an extraordinary play or something, they'll show when someone wins the World Series, and they might show the highlights at the very end. Now that it's the World Series games, they might say like, well, the Dodgers beat the Rays 2-1. They might do that bit. But fundamentally, you're getting no coverage. And the thing that will help you in future years is like, there is quite a big turnover as to when teams are good. So a team can go from being good to bad and vice versa pretty quickly. But if you don't...
Well, Eddie, how many?
Okay, we're going to say it at the same time like we did... Sam,
I'll go. Shall I go first? Because I don't want to hear your two and be in any way influenced.
No, but you say yours, but yours doesn't matter because you're the only one who picked the Rays. So like the Rays win the World Series, you win.
Okay.
But tell us how many games.
I want it to go the distance, so I'm going to go. They do it. They do it in 7. Yeah.
Oh, a thriller.
He almost forgot again how many games. He's like, they go the distance.
No. I didn't know. I didn't know whether to say they win 4-3 or win in 7. Yeah.
All right. So, Sam, you want to give us a 3-second countdown, and we'll say.
Wait, how about I just write it down now, and then I'll just hold up.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'll do 3, 2, 1. Then you show on 4.
All right. I've written mine down.
All right.
Go ahead.
Kind of
Are you ready, Eddie? Go ahead. How many do you have?
Well, Eddie can't show anything.
He doesn't have to show.
but-
Just say how many.
6, 7. All right.
Wait, no, real quick. Let me scratch that out.
Yeah, Frank's screwed me here. He had 7 different cards.
Yeah, I'm a magician. I had, I had all. No matter what you said, I had one for it.
Exactly. No matter what number I thought of, he was going to have it.
For the size of the paper, that was a really small 7.
That's true.
Yeah, sorry. It reminds me of the time I visited Eddie and we watched Can You Beat Penn and Teller for about 3 hours that one day. We just sat there watching Can You Stump Penn and Teller.
I love that show.
I know I love Magic. I don't know why. I just really enjoy Magic.
Yeah, I love Magic, and I particularly like that show because I feel like at least you're getting a kind of sort of real representation of it in the sense that the goal of some of the people involved is to tell you that the trick isn't that good. Like I hate like the Facebook magicians where you occasionally will get the video come up and you're like, this is so dumb. Like it's obvious how he's done it. Meanwhile, you have morons in the comments section just being like, oh my God, how did he do it? How did he do it? Like it's even as stupid. Sometimes he will be like, it's want to like pick a number between 1 and 7. You're thinking of 6. If you were thinking of 6, like and reshare this. And then everyone's like, oh my God. And it's like, you do realize, you idiots, like only the people who thought of 6 are liking and resharing this. Everyone else was like,
oh, that's how he does it?
Everyone else was like, that's stupid.
That's clever. Wow. He must be some kind of sorcerer.
Yeah, you're right though. But watching real magic be performed in front of magicians is always, you have to have that step up because you have to be legit.
My favorite, when I went to one of my cousin's weddings, there was this guy sitting next to me. I think I've told you this, Frank. But The guy who's
I
sitting
probably
next
won't
to me.
remember.
Yeah, that's true. The guy sitting next to me at the dinner. So we like got to talking. I was like, "So what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm a professional magician." I was like, "No way." And he was like, "Yeah, that's what I do." I was like, "This
Best
is gonna be
wedding ever.
And then I was like, "Can you do a trick for me?" And he was like, "Well, like a lot of magic involves like preparation and stuff." And his wife, who was sitting opposite, was like, "Of course he can do a trick for you." And just as it turned out, he just comes loaded to like and he literally spent the next 5 hours. First, he started with our table just doing magic tricks. And then obviously other tables like heard about it. And then he just like, it was as if he'd been hired as a magician for the event. It was like bringing people over, do this trick for him again. Doing it. The only thing that would suck for him is sometimes he'd do the trick and then be like, do it again for this guy. And he'd be like, I can't just like instantly do it again. Like I do have to like set it back up. And like that's always like the mild downer, right? Because you're like realizing that
It's not real magic.
even though you don't think it's magic, there's still that moment of like, oh, okay, you have to like set that deck up in the right way and stick that back up your sleeve and stuff. But it was amazing. And he was legitimately really good. He did tricks and equally to me, he was like, oh, do you really like magic? Or are you just kind of like making fun of me? And I was like, no, I really like magic.
Can it be both?
I was like, I watched Penn and Teller, like every episode of Penn and Teller Fool Us, like every episode. And I watch other magicians. I was like, this guy is my favorite magician. He has one trick I love. I don't know how he did it. He was like, oh, okay, you're like reasonably knowledgeable about magic for like a non-magic person. And I was like, yeah. So now
For a non-mage.
Non-mage.
Call it a non-mage Harry Potter.
He's a muggle. Eddie's a muggle.
Eddie, was this wedding in England or the U.S.?
It was in England.
Oh, then you were a muggle. Had it been American, you would have been a non-match.
It was at this place called Hogwarts, I think.
His best trick of the night, though, was he ended up getting the married couple to get a divorce. And the behind the scenes was he actually slept with the bride.
Just to clear this up in case he did not. They are still happy.
Ta-da! How did he do it?
They are still happily married.
It's just illusions. Mirrors. Smoke and mirrors.
That was also the only wedding I've ever been to where I won a bet, because when the speeches were about to go up, someone came round, and for the best man speech, they ran a sweepstake on how long the speech would be. So it was like £2 each per person, and you just picked a number on how long the speech would be, and the closest person to the correct number won. And I won. It was like 100 people went in on it, so nice £200 win at a wedding wasn't bad. I also thought, because generally I think speeches are so dull, and they're just there to either amuse the handful of people who know the inside jokes or to make the person giving the speech feel good about themselves. I thought it was a really interesting way of getting everyone semi-invested in the speeches for at least a short period of time. Like, the downside was most people were like running the stopwatch on their phone like during the speech, and you could tell people at times were like more focused on the number, like when they thought
in the speech.
When they thought he was starting to like wind up, people would be like 14:21, 14:22, is he stopping? And then like restart, they'd be like, oh fuck, like no, I'm out.
Wrap it up, mate.
Exactly. Do I win if I cut his mic?
Yeah, well, I've only been to one English wedding, and it was a lot of fun. It was eventful.
But we'll save that story for another day. We'll save that one when we've really taken off.
Yeah. Same time that I smoked Eddie in cricket. That story we already told.
Oh, God.
Same weekend.
It's such a delusional interpretation of what happened. It's unbelievable.
Hit the furthest six that tennis court has ever seen with a broken child's cricket bat and a tennis ball.
I'll just tell anyone out there, for any cricket supporters out there, if they thought that Mattia Muralitharan was a little bit of a chucker, they should see Frank Bowl. because that was a solid 25, 26 degrees of arm bend every time.
Well, it's kind of difficult when you grow up your whole life throwing a baseball.
Oh, I'm not doubting it. I'm just defending my destroyed reputation.
All right. Anything else? Or can I go watch the rest of this Monday Night Football and get ready for my Cardinals?
Oh yeah, it's worth saying, right? Because we did say we'd give people an update. So currently looks like the Chiefs strong position to win. Around 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They're already up 10 points.
They got it deep into Bills territory.
Yeah, they're deep in the red zone. So looks like the Chiefs, barring a surprising turn of events in the final 10 minutes, it looks like the Chiefs will go to 5-1 and the Bills will go to 4-2.
Up 13 now. So let's see. Can Allen solidify his MVP? Because right now he's 9 for 21 with 66 yards.
Well, you'd also argue at the same time, I've got to say, Mahomes has not done a lot today to put himself back into the MVP race.
Hasn't needed to, though, when Edwards-Hilaire's got 170 yards rushing.
I like however you spin it, like whoever you want to kill for being statistically unimpressive, you like didn't need to do anything more. But then the other guy, useless, terrible, should have stepped
Hey,
up.
someone's got to be that guy on the podcast, all right? All right, boys. Well, I'll talk to you guys on Thursday. Bacillus, you can go fuck yourself.
See ya.